I'd like to call this workshop into order. Make sure everybody has a seat. Get my ducks in a row here. This is the biggest crowd. Is there something controversial I'm not aware of this evening? Good to see y'all. Okay, so we're going to go down our workshop list here, and we're going to start with the auditors are here. They're going to give a small presentation in this meeting and let us know where we're at, and according to how much time they take us, will let me know how much time we have for the rest. I'm going to yield the floor to Jimmy Hendry, and Mr. Tim is here also.
Stand up here, and I think all the council members have a copy of the report. We'll just go over kind of a few highlights, and then we'll go deeper in the council meeting. Okay, on page 5 to 8 is the auditor's report. The opinion was an unmodified opinion, which it has been for the last several years, and that means it's a clean opinion, that we're not recommending any modifications to the report. If we want to look at the general fund, that's like on page 28. So the 28 is, let's see, on page 30 is your revenue expenditures for your governmental funds for your major funds. So if y'all want to go to that page, that's on page 30. The change in fund balance for your general fund was $358,914, a loss of that amount. The other major funds were the sales tax, sewage sales tax, and ARPA. You had a loss both in the sales tax and the sewage sales tax, so you can see upon $472,000 and $259,000. The ARPA fund was, in the past, that money has been accounted for in the utility fund. It was moved to its own fund this year, and that was mainly for financial reporting to the government, so you could keep up with that separate. And it had an increase of $175,000, and that was interest that was earned on there. Utility fund is on page 33. And on page 33, there's a change in that position for the utility fund of over $3 million. And part of that was decrease in the expense for purchase power in the prior year. And so in the council meeting, we'll go over these a little bit more in depth. This year, y'all did have to have a single audit, which means that the expenditures were over $750,000 that were covered by federal funds. Last year, it only ran about $200,000. On page 109, you can see the amount of expenditures that were covered by federal funds. Last year, it was $200,000. This year, you're running it was $4.6 million. Okay, so quite a substantial amount. So we tested 3 programs. We tested the Airport Improvement Program. We tested the CDBG, which had to do with that sewer project that I think had to do with something with Bossier, and then the state and local fiscal recovery funds. Y'all received that money in advance, and you're spending it now. Okay. The findings we'll just go through kind of quickly, and then we'll go more in depth. On page 112. There's a repeat finding of controls over financial reporting, and mainly this was greatly improved, but this had to do with some end of the year balance sheet accounts, AP accounts, retainage payable, so we couldn't consider that cleared, though it did improve. Okay. The second finding was condition rating for street system, and this has to do with the capital asset of the street repairs. And instead of capitalizing and depreciating it, y'all were using what's called the modified approach, and we'll discuss that more in the meeting. The third finding is on 114. It was on the Airport Improvement Program. There is a federal financial report that has to be submitted annually, and the consultant was only submitting it at the end of a project instead of doing it yearly. And so that's just a financial report that needs to be submitted to the federal government by the end of the year. So any of these, once you look through, we're going to discuss more at the meeting, and so we'll go more in depth then.
All right, are there any questions for them? I've been over this with them several times, so the things presented just now aren't news to me or Mulaney. I think personally, I think it's pretty good if that's the issues they had with this. Are there any questions for them that you might would like to ask? You'd also, will be given the opportunity to ask them out front. Okay, well, thank you very much, very good. If you don't have questions, that means you did such a thorough job, so thank you very much. Alright, next we have, several ordinances that I'd like to present to y'all. I'd like for y'all to, just look them over, and in the June meeting, if it looks like y'all don't have any changes or just, big upset over them, then I would propose we vote on them in June. The first one that I think we could discuss that would be a continuation of the discussion from last month, and this ought to get us all talking, is the debt recovery one. And I think Ashley, did you give it back to me?
It's the one that's a resolution instead of an ordinance.
Okay, the resolution. And so I know that there was a little bit just internet chatter on this one. So I wondered what the council's, just to be fully transparent, I present things like this in the workshop to kind of implement a public process that would give you the opportunity to hear different perspectives once, the news went out. And so if you had like any kind of hesitation or pushback from your constituents, it would give you 30 days, to hear the feedback. Our ways aren't always the right ways. Here's where where I'm at on the debt recovery thing. The city is owed, I had Mulaney run the numbers, and it's on the average of $800,000 in delinquent or defaulted payments. And we currently do not have, outside of just suing each individual person, we really don't have a device to recoup that money. And as the manager of the city, I feel like I have an obligation to y'all and the citizens to recoup that money. But on the flip side of that, I'm also, while the monies are owed, I'm also not trying to hurt people. I'm not trying to hurt the citizens that may owe us money. And so there was a little, I've heard a little feedback about the fact that, traditionally our utility bills have been high, and sometimes people have gotten in a situation where they couldn't pay them and they defaulted for whatever reason. I just want to know from the council, like, what your perspective on this is. Did you hear a lot of fussing? Are people really stressing about this? Again, you have to owe the city and defaulted on the bill to the city to be on the list. But we do have, I had to run the numbers for the last 5 years, and it came up to about 800,000. As a compromise, I did consider, if we had some sort of mechanism in place, maybe going forward from some point to recoup monies owed to the city. I feel like a compromise would be, maybe we don't go back very far, we just pick a date in the past and say from this moment forward, such as maybe a January 1st, 2025, and moving forward. So basically that would be anyone who defaulted from this moment forward would be on the list, and we would pursue them through the new mechanism. But I think if this council has a lot of great intentions and ordinances we want to put into place. I know we have discussions and talk about cleaning the city up. Well, if you're really going to clean the city up and hold people accountable, the only way you do that is to hold them accountable. And the only way you can hold them accountable is to make them pay a penalty. And if our penalties do not have any teeth, then you can't really penalize them if they know that there's nothing they can do. So that's kind of where I'm at on the situation, but I don't want to be unfair. I don't think asking people to pay what they owe the city is really unfair, but at the same time, I understand that, a lot of people struggle day to day, and this is very aggressive. I would also like to suggest to you that, the severity and the layers of how deep we go to collect money is discretionary in a sense. Like we don't have to go bananas and collect every penny owed from anybody immediately. We could just say anybody that owes for back utilities, or anyone that owes for occupational license, or whatever it is. You know, we don't have to pursue it all. So I've given my spiel. I was just looking for feedback from the council. I did plan to put this on the agenda tonight, but out of respect for some just kind of conflicting feedback, I thought we might have another discussion about it. So any thoughts?
If you went back 2 years, how much you think it is?
It's still pretty significant. I would say 200,000 plus.
My suggestion, probably 2 years.
I would prefer just going back to January, because we got a lot of people that are actually in trouble right now, financially.
Okay, I could live with, I think it's a good program that gives us the ability to take care of business. The 800,000 is important, and we also have to remember that all the citizens pay for the defaulted money. So everyone that pays shares the cost of those that do not, and that's how it works, more or less. That's just how it's gonna break down. But that being said, I'm more interested in it in the future. So a compromise at this point would be okay, and if it's something, I would say it like this, it is something that we could look at later and maybe go back further, but in a way to bring it in as an entry point, picking a date to pursue this, I think would be a bit of a compromise. Anybody else want to chime in?
I think this, you have to apologize for my voice. I think it would be, you know, we would not be doing the citizens any good if we didn't go back after that money. I mean, you know, that's money they're owed in general, you know, and so if I owed somebody money, they're certainly gonna come back, you know, after me. I just think it's good being good stewards of the citizens' money if we don't go back and try to collect it, you know. I think we get as much as we can as far as, going back as far as we can, you know, and we set some parameters on what we wanna do and how we wanna do it, you know. Instead of just saying, here's a blanket, you know, I think we sit down one more time and narrow it down to, you know, do we wanna just do utilities, do we just wanna do occupational, what do we wanna do, and fine tune it from there.
The bulk of it was utilities. Any thoughts from this side of the table? I feel a little lopsided. Some feedback. Okay.
I don't either.
All right, well, okay. Well, that answers some questions I have. The next one is, there are two permit, ordinances that our building official helped us update. One is home occupations. You're not in your normal area of the room. Would you like to, would you like to pitch your thoughts on why you brought the home occupational updates to us? And you should have that in front of you.
Well, I mean, it's all simple clarification of things. We've added some definitions. If y'all remember, we tried to do this once before to get the definitions of bed and breakfast straightened out. And that's, we just put definitions in there to bring it in line with the state definitions and the state fire marshal development definitions, so that whenever we do have to talk about a bed and breakfast, we know what it actually is.
Okay, so you have that one. If you have any questions, you can review it, but if I don't hear any, just major heartburn over it, I'm gonna put it on the agenda, for the next meeting and vote on that one. And then the manufactured homes. Can you go through that one?
Yeah.
Do we-
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do we have this, red line anywhere? So we,
I have some Yeah, I'm learning how to do that.
We'll email you.
Please
if
do.
we can
I-
figure it
Yeah,
out.
I mean, it just makes
Red
it
lines.
easier trying to go through it, you know?
We understand that, absolutely. The manufactured homes,
Yeah, that's just, again, clearing up the 10-year age requirement. I've had a lot of questions about that. So this is an opportunity to get it straightened up. And it just adds in that the age shall actually be determined by the manufacturing date, not the year model of the trailer. That gives us a definite point. And then everybody knows what you're talking about when it's cleared up like that. The other is we put in an exception that in the mobile home parks, the established mobile home parks, zone R6 for mobile homes, that the owner or operator of the mobile home park has the exception to whether to enforce that 10-year requirement or not. If he owns a mobile home park and he wants to move in older mobile homes, you know, that's at his discretion.
I think this is better. This is an improvement,
you like it?
in my opinion.
Okay, I do. What's, anybody else have thoughts?
I'd rather go by the year model than manufacture date. Sometimes they manufacture them 6 months or 8 months before, they release them to the public or before the model year. You know, so you may have one that's manufactured, in August, that's a 2026 or something like that. I mean, but I just rather go by the model year. I think it makes it easy, and I think also what that does is it makes the public aware of what they have, what they have in the 10-year time period, instead of going manufacture date. When you buy something, you're looking at the year that's on that particular thing that you're buying, not the date that it's manufactured. That's just me. And I think it would make it easier for the public. I mean, we all understand it, we have it here in front of us. But to, you know, the person who hasn't done any research, or the person who thinks that they know the rule and don't know the rule, it'll be a lot easier just to go by the year model date. That's just me personally.
I agree.
I don't have any problem with that at all.
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Is that typically stamped on the,
It would be on the
It's just
title.
not- the
No,
actual
the only thing you ever
manufacturing date
see
is
is the manufacturing date. The people who sell the trailers, their paperwork will say it's a such and such year model,
Right.
but the only thing stamped on the trailer itself that is
Is-
verifiable is the manufacturing date. That's why I went with the manufacturing date.
How are we
And
gonna
every
know?
manufacturer can do their year models differently. Like you said, some of them may, you know, they may call ones that were built September of last year a new model.
would a compromise on this be to leave it with that stamp date like he has it, but to add a year to cover any kind
That's-
of, window? Would that be a compromise that would cover all of our problems? Would that be good? That way it gives you an extra year of leeway to cover any discrepancies with the dating of things.
That's fine.
So let's just change
And
it.
they had talked about even maybe moving it to 15.
Well, let's don't get crazy,
I don't
but
wanna do
let's,
that.
I'm here to do whatever y'all wanna do, this isn't for me.
My thing is just from a person who isn't in here, and who doesn't, you know, actually know the difference between the manufacture date and a year model date. I just feel like it's easier for, you know, those people to be able to, you know, just say, hey, look, I have a 2006, it's 2020, 2016, it's 2026, I can move it. Instead of, you know, going in there and saying, oh, it was built in, December of 2025, of 2015, so you can't move it. I think it just cuts out a lot of red tape.
why don't we word it where it goes by that stamp date, but it gives them 364 days of extra leeway?
That's fine with me.
Okay, let's try to finagle it like that. to give them the full advantage of the year without giving them a year. That way we don't get into another year kind of
That's
deal.
not making it more complicated.
It is, but
And it is, and that's what I'm thinking,
We
yeah.
want it to be.
I like
It
the
wants to be
stamp.
kinda quick,
Very
right?
simple.
I like the stamp because it's super easily verifiable and not an opinion of anybody else, like this, it's stamped manufactured date. But personally, I think giving them some leeway.
Let's just give them to the
here.
end of that year, not necessarily 364 days. If
Okay.
it was, let's say if it's, it was manufactured in June,
Uh-huh,
and it's now July, but
Yeah.
it was manufactured in 2015 of that year, we can give them to the end of the year, you know what I mean?
Fine.
That's
So-
like 6 months.
So more like manufacturing year instead
Year
of
instead
manufacturing
of, that,
date.
there we go.
that'd
What-
be fine.
Yeah, well,
Let's
then
just
we
do
just
that.
take the where we how we determine the age out and just put the exception in for the mobile home parks and leave it basically like it was.
Perfect.
Year, yeah.
Alright, and then, the alcohol one, would you like to just very briefly, I can explain it.
Yeah, that was yours.
Oh, we did that. You have it redlined, which to me makes it harder to read. But basically, over my time, 2.5 years of being mayor, there's just been several alcohol-related things that the city does that I find is quite redundant because the person pursuing the alcohol permits has already done a lot of jumping through hoops for the state, and then they have to turn around and do it for us. A lot of this verbiage, as we studied it, came from the state and was stuck in our ordinance, and so it's causing duplications. I have to approve things that I don't really think I necessarily need to approve because I just go off if the state approved it already or not, so it's just duplications. And then there's a lot of date and times that change according to different circumstances. We went through and kind of cleaned all that up. So just read over this, and it's definitely time for a change. You saw we cut a lot of information out that just came straight from the state, and instead we just refer to the state guidelines. That way, as they update their information, ours is updated too. But honest to goodness, everything we do, as far as I know, on an approval standpoint is, did the state approve it? Fine, I'll approve it too. Well, that's all it really needs to say, and it doesn't need to be locked into a lot of old verbiage. It needs to be fluid enough to change with the state's rules. So look this over, let me know what you think. It cleans it up, it makes it easier for the citizens to understand, the business owners also. It should make it easier for the police to enforce, and even to that degree, and easier to do business in the city. So just look it over, let me know. Who redlined this, us? Yeah, okay.
I learned how to do it on this one.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, there's a lot of red. So if you have any questions, just email us or call us or come talk to us and we'll figure out the answers. But those are the 4 ordinances I wanted to go over with you tonight. Just another thing, a matter of procedure that I would like for us to update is, in the handbook, y'all remember, y'all just wanna pass these out. Y'all remember, we adopted the handbook, I believe on our first meeting, and as we all know, the city, had been going through a lot of handbook heartburn for a while when we took office. And so we adopted the handbook as it was, just to get us a working document where we can move forward. And that's proven to work real well. I think it's been a real wise move, and it gave us a starting point. We knew there would be things that change. There's a clause in the handbook that I don't really like, and I would like for y'all to strike it. And basically what it does is it locks us in if a employee is hired, let's say on January 1st, and then for whatever reason, a job comes open and they're promoted to a higher job, then they're eligible for what's called a new hire increase and a promotional increase, and that gets super complicated. We don't do a very good job from a budget standpoint of projecting those promotional increases. They're discretionary, and I don't really like them, because they, often in these scenarios, they duplicate. And I would, as the administrator, I would have a much easier time, I think Mulaney, her department would too, if we didn't have this duplication of an optional raise. And so by me, for example, what's happening, if I don't give that, if I give a new hire raise, which is discretionary, I can give certain percentages, then I come around again in 2 months and have to give a promotional raise. Well, I don't agree with giving them percentages here and then percentages here within the same year, and then have to turn around and do it all twice in the next year again. It can really rack up to some high numbers. And so the problem this puts me in is I have to decline one of them, because it's not right to give somebody just big promotions, which I'm fine with, but that's proven to be very demotivational. Like, you're a great employee, you get no increase here, even though they know, according to the handbook, I have the ability to give it to them. I really don't need this ability. If I hire somebody at a certain rate, and then they're really just very good, and then they turn around and we're like, you would do really good at this higher level job, then we would pay them at that higher level pay, and I don't need to give them an increase next year on that and on just being an employee altogether. So I'm actually asking y'all to take this part out of the handbook, where I'm not having to decline somebody from getting 2 raises a year, which I do not think is appropriate. So, that's all. Now, if y'all want to, and I'm fine with this, we might just in good faith, there's just a few people that are in this system that we could leave in there and they would get declined, but that way they go through the process that they were promised, you know? I don't mind that, but I would like to, going forward, anybody hired from whatever, if we pass this change in June, going forward, anyone we hired, I would want them to be subject to the new handbook and I not be subject to this double rule, which I don't think is good. I really think the intent of some of these rules in the handbook, I think y'all would agree, was kind of like overreaching control, and I don't think we really need that. I think it would be much easier just to run the city with the common sense and not have to decline these raises. So, any thoughts on that? Do y'all understand? Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's see. Y'all are super quiet. I have this initiative. I would like y'all's blessing on it. This, you can have one if you want. I mean, it says what it is. Not much to explain here. So, it was pitched you can pass them out. It was pitched to me that we have children in our city on occasion, tragically, that drown. And the question's been asked, probably to y'all too. When we have swimming facilities, why are there children in our community that do not know how to swim? Well, the truth is, that is tragic. And if we could save one life, I think we need to. So we came up with this plan. Zeta and I worked on an idea to give every Minden child, if you live in the city limits of Minden, you're given the opportunity for free to take swimming lessons at the rec center. And we're calling it the Minden Promise, all kids taught to swim. And so the first pushback, and Zeta was very supportive, but the first pushback she had was, I don't know that we can cover all of the children and still do our normal swimming lessons. So after some negotiation, I said, all right, what if we forego all swimming lessons and only do, for that first week, basic swimming lessons? They say Miss Cato can teach a kid to swim in 1 week. So we just rotate through 1 week of swimming lessons, 1 week just that first beginner's lessons. And now a child can only take it one time. We can't let them take it every week for eternity, right? But we let every kid in the city of Minden have the opportunity to take swimming lessons for free. But before I wipe away it's a pretty small amount of our revenue, I wanted to have y'all's blessing on that. I think it would be a really good initiative. We'll never know how many kids we've saved. We'll never know. Because if a kid doesn't drown, we'll never know that. It'll never be a headline. But at least if it ever does happen, we know we did all we could to try to help our kids learn how to swim.
How much revenue are we wiping out?
About 5,000 to 6,000 to do it. That's if it fills up and we have to forego the normal swimming lessons. Because if let's say it takes 3 weeks to train all the children to swim, and that's all that signed up, and that's all that wanted to participate, then the remaining 6 weeks would be back to generating revenue with an intermediate and an advanced swimming lessons, and they would charge for that. The swimming lessons for kids, not a whole lot, but I would never want that to be a barrier for someone learning a life-saving skill.
And we do have somebody that's willing to help fund this program if we need.
I'm fine with it. I just want to know.
Sure.
I think it's great.
Can adults
Something,
Huh?
Can adults stay?
It's just gonna be open for anybody under
Anybody-
18 that
anybody
wants
that
to
has
swim. Okay.
I have a 20-year-old disabled child that really wants to swim. Would that be something I would consider would be children with disabilities or possibly over 18 if they're really
That,
mentally 3 years old?
that'll have to be something I'd have to check on. Certainly wanna teach every kid we can to swim. All right, well, good deal. So y'all be thinking about that. And then, let's see. We have with us today, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. We had the Republic leadership here today. And I am so proud that they showed up. We have, everyone knows Billy, and Billy probably needs a round of applause because he helps us a lot. But everybody knows and loves Billy. We also have Mike, who is the new head guy. Mike's gonna be a big asset like Billy. But Mike, you either Lake Charles or Lafayette, which one was it? I think both of them, okay. Mike came from very large cities and they brought him up here to run our area, and I visited with these guys and they're good. We have a little time, so I was gonna discuss kind of the process with everybody because there's been a little, there's always, before I even took over as mayor, I knew Republic and trash pickup was one of the most important issues our citizens have. There's nothing, I would guess, that you get calls about more than trash pickup as council persons. And so, you know, between trash cans and green waste by the road, we get a lot of calls for limbs and things like that. I was going to say at minimum, the process is important of how you go reaching Republic. And I was going to let the council know that the best way to reach Republic is actually for y'all to email Kinsey, ktaylor@mindenusa.com. She has, unless these guys object to that, she has the ear of them really readily available, and that process works best. If you call Republic's 1-800 number, you're gonna get what they call the runaround. And it's not on purpose, it's just the way the system's set up, the way our contract's designed. You know, the citizens are really mending customers in a way through Republic, and it gets real confusing when you call the call center, it gets a mess. So ktaylor@mindenusa, even Miss Bonnie, for the public, like, that would be kind of the preference. ktaylor@mindenusa, you need on the trash pickup list, just cut out the middleman and email Kinsey. She can easily forward that email. What I prefer about the email is it gives us all a chain of custody. Where did the email go? Who dropped the ball? Who was copied in it? It's easy to forward it. There's no messing up of address numbers or anything like that. Just email K. Taylor the address and say, these guys have been, you know, you hear the story all the time, like, I've been waiting for 5 weeks to get my limbs picked up. Well, this is day one of me knowing, so I can't help you until today, you know, and that happens to us all the time. So with that being said, I'll turn the floor over to y'all for anything that y'all would like to interject or debate.
I'm Mike, new to the area, moving to Shreveport from Lafayette. in times past, I worked Department of Corrections, Beauregard Sheriff's Office, tax, SWAT, Chase K-9, all that fun stuff, and, had to make a living, right? I miss my dogs, but I never thought trash was as important as it is, cause I put my can by the road to pick it up, pull my cart back, no big deal. So I've been doing this for about 4 years, ended up, after I left law enforcement, contracted with the military, came home, hit the oil field, and I'm in trash, right? I've been with the company 4 years, hired on as a driver, ended up being a supervisor in Lake Charles, and I spent my last 2.5 years as the ops manager in Lafayette. I ran roughly 100 drivers out of Lafayette. So coming up here, I run Shreveport and Minden offices. I went through my fair share of trials down south, so I'm pretty versed in the issues y'all are having up here. It wasn't broke overnight, it won't be fixed overnight, but all we can do is start from today and keep moving forward. I don't promise anything I can't deliver, and if I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. I'm human, I make my fair share of mistakes. So I got business cards for everyone, and you can reach out to me directly. Cell phone is preferable. The best option, of course, is Kenzie, Billy, Maya in my office. Keep that documentation, keep that paper trail. But if we run the system together, we can make it better. I know the big issue right now, especially with the storms, has been the debris, the limbs, and everything else. So I'm here to tell you, we have a new general manager also. So I run operations, and we have maintenance, we have landfills and all that good stuff. We do have a brand new GM that just came up here, started a week ago. I've been here 8 weeks, so we're both new, right, to the area, not new to the business. But he is very much on board with the way I wanna go, and very supportive. Mayor got to meet him a week and a half ago, and just wanted to come make the introductions, and I'm here if you need me. But the brush, starting next week for sure. I'm hiring another driver, so this is giving me room to grow, bringing in some other talent that we had left before. It's a guy from the Bossier, Minden, somewhere in between area, so he's already here, he knows the routes. We're gonna be able to put a boom truck out at least 3 out of the 5 days a week to start running these neighborhoods and getting back on top of it. Once we know it's under control, we'll back up, revisit what is the normal service gonna require. But I'm working through routes, working through cleaning up the maps, you know, trying to get these drivers to understand this is my area. This is where I need to be. Because for a long time, there's been a lot of overlap. My biggest project, day one coming here, was cleaning up the maps. Because I can't hold them accountable if they don't know where they're supposed to be, right? So that is being worked on. I'm this close. I've got people coming in from Nashville, Tennessee, from the area that specialize in reroutes and routing maps and stuff that are coming in to help me too. So, but again, I'm gonna leave some cards, and if you want one, grab them. Call me on my cell if you need me. So.
Any questions for Mike? Okay, Chief.
Is Billy only taking calls after midnight still?
It takes them all the way up to 2 a.m.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'll make sure we got that out.
You just glad you pointed that out, yes, thank you. Make sure you get my number out too.
I have one issue that, I'd like to ask a question about is, and I typically, Billy and I work together very often, but one issue besides the limbs that we're having in my district is bags. Bags are not being picked up. About 3 weeks ago, it just stopped. Any bag outside of the garbage can will not be touched by your guys.
Okay.
You know, and so we've had a lot of that. How are we, is that gonna be part of your addressing the bag situation as well? You know,
If I have to end up putting an extra rear loader out for a couple of days, and at the end goal, I'll stand up so I can. The end goal is to run a rear load truck, take Menden and split it in half. This is down the road, a couple of weeks, I'm still working the logistics out. But cut Menden in half, say for example, Monday, east side. Tuesday, west side. Wednesday, run the boom truck, cause the guy running the rear loader is also gonna run the boom truck. So if he knows the pile is too big to pick up by hand, look, the boom truck that is here actually sent from Lafayette. About 6 of the trucks up here I sent from Lafayette, and I wish I'd have sent some better ones. But that's the ultimate goal, is to be able to put that truck out, cut it in half, and he knows exactly where to go, so we're not driving all over town skipping piles, cause if he cuts the town, he can write his own list down and go right back with the boom truck, whenever you're ready, so.
So what is your ultimate goal? What type of truck are you gonna be running for regular garbage pickup?
So,
Because we keep swapping back and forth,
yeah,
and we got, I know a lot of trucks with hydraulic issues. I mean, my area particularly has just been hammered from you guys with hydraulical everywhere, and that's not cheap.
right.
You know, I've sent some pictures to Billy and,
If there are major hydraulic leaks and everything, I have companies on contract that I can send that actually put down, some absorbent stuff that's actually non-biodegradable to asphalt or whatever, surface they're on. We can definitely get that cleaned up, and we eat that cost. The ASLs are here to stay. The rear loader is the way of the past, okay? This is corporate, it's corporate America, I work for a corporation. The ASLs are here, the rear loaders are phasing out. Because just like the other day on Highway 79, one of my ASLs was sitting there on the highway, and had I had a helper on the back of the truck, he'd got killed. Because one of my guys got clipped all the way down the driver's side of the truck, went all the way down the frame of the truck. If I have a man on the back, he's dead. This is the reason the company's going to it, is driver safety, employee safety, so the guys ain't bumping on and off in traffic areas. So ASLs are here. I know we're also in talks with the area, because I got a new area president, vice president, whole area staff. We're a brand new region. We got split off of the southeast. We're now mid-south for Republic Area 12. So we got all the management, and we're all on the same page that we need to get these trucks fixed. We were neglected for a long time. It's, in-house issues that we're working through. But I'll tell you, I've been here for 2 months now, and first month we went $250,000 over budget, over our regular budget, fixing trucks. Second month, we went almost $300,000 over budget, fixing trucks. My team, my management team that I work with and beside, we ain't worried about a dollar amount. We're trying to fix these trucks, to make them safe. They're not leaking. We're running every day. We don't have all these breakdowns. Billy was on vacation last week, and I ran Minden by myself. I'm brand new. I don't even know the area, so. And I had 6 trucks go down on me, but we got them right back up. We were splitting routes. I was making moves, but to make sure y'all were serviced, but we will get there.
safely has done above and beyond me. I mean, so I value what he does and how he's taking care of us. He's only been one man to do that, and so I do appreciate everything that he's done, especially in my district, because he's really come through when I needed help. When I had the last conversation of a resident wanting to come dump his trash on the mayor's SUV, I knew I had a problem, and Billy took care of that.
As if.
I'm sure I can get
just wanna
something approved.
I guess where I'm going is, the people need to be aware how we're gonna do these things. That's where what y'all needs to be, you're going like real trucks, side trucks, whatever. They need to be acclimated so that we can get that picked up.
And any information y'all's office needs, I will definitely help out as much as I can. I've gone into hospitals, I've done community events, and actually question and answers, I'm not above and get in front of the public, as much as possible to say, hey, what questions do you have? Show them photos, pictures are worth 1,000 words, but just, helping each other out, so. But I appreciate that, Billy is a huge help.
Yes, definitely.
I would say with the side loading trucks, any information that y'all can create for us to send out to educate the citizens about where they need to put their cans a little bit better, and why, that these trucks, they're instantly aggravated that they have to do something different. But when they know that it's for safety, then they understand.
Right.
And so they become not aggravated or less aggravated. But then if we just tell them, where to put their cans, because a lot of people have like a culvert in front of their house or something like that, and, all that stuff, so.
We have that material, and I will make sure.
That'd be great.
So.
Yeah, and how we're gonna handle the bags, because you know, there's 4 or 5 bags sitting there, you know, that don't get picked up, so you get that call, hey, they didn't get my garbage, well, they did, they just didn't get the bags
The
and
bags,
leaves you
yeah.
out there.
And I'm hoping that the rear load situation running through the town as they're picking up the bulk, also getting the bags,
Yeah.
fixes that issue also. And it doesn't work in a week or two, we back up, we try something new.
Sounds good.
I live on a street where where they just use the little small pickup truck to come. Because it's a dead end street and the big truck can't turn around. But the problem we have is they're not coming every week.
Okay. Definitely, I can get your address and find out what's going on.
Okay, then I get that from some of the people that are in my district, that,
You have a lot to say.
they are coming.
Trying to get with, and I can work with Ms. Kinsey, you know, in these areas and find out what are legitimate back downs, what are the parked areas. Because I'm working on getting a trailer actually for the guy that's here, over from Shreveport to Mendon, to where he actually has a trailer on it too, he can carry extra carts, parts, pick up more of the back downs and not be running just out of a back of a pickup truck. And then what areas can we use that rear loader in and back down, you know, with a helper, you know, for stuff like that too. I work through the same issues in Lafayette, but on a way bigger scale, so I'm looking forward to the challenge, but I wanna keep y'all happy too. But again, I'm human, so just
Well,
give me a little time.
the complicated, relationship we have with y'all is basically when y'all mess up, we get blamed for it. And that's where the relationship gets really challenging. And so just know, like, one thing, you're right, one thing about the citizens of Minden, they take their trash pickup very,
Very serious.
very serious.
And you just say that you want the city of Minden on the brand.
No, and I told them, if we ever get new trash cans, they will not say City of Minden on the side of them. They'll say Republic Services, agreed?
With a phone number.
With their phone number.
Maybe, if we can talk about it, maybe put down a 30-yard somewhere in a central location, I'll approve the cost and eat it, and, you know,
That could be
once a
helpful.
quarter, once every 6 months, whatever we need to do, just have a general cleanup, and
That's something we
we can
probably.
look at something, I can authorize that, at my level, so.
Very good, very good. Republic's been good to us, and honestly, I'll say this and we gotta move on, but thank y'all. Honestly, having the support from Billy particularly makes it worth taking it on the chin, over and over and over, because everything I've ever asked Billy to do, and I think that's been the case for y'all too, he's been helpful, and so, you know, it kinda makes it a partnership. It's not just us fighting them by any stretch, we're all in this together. There's just so many factors into getting trash picked up that get complicated, and so we appreciate it sincerely. And thank y'all for being here. All right, so, are there any questions pertaining to tonight's agenda before we go in there that anybody needs some clarification? The only thing that might throw you is I've got the old wildlife building on there. I'd like permission for demolition of that at the meeting because it's falling down. I don't foresee us ever fixing it up. The roof is gone, the porch is about to collapse any moment now, and there's just no intended purpose for it. But I never wanna authorize removing property or adding property without y'all's approval, so, and then, you know, just regular business. Mulaney, do you have anything that you need to highlight in the workshop before we go out front?
No, we're just going normal, and then at the back of the book, you'll see the updates on the findings like I have to do now, so
Okay.
you'll see that monthly now. Other than that, it's just normal.
All right, I think Councilman Roy has some questions.
I just have one, natural gas,
You just got it this week.
cause we should be, I'm guesstimating about 100,000, and we're only sitting at 38.
I have to look, I wanna say it was 83,000 that we just got.
Okay.
I can text you that, verify that.
I know you know on the top of your head, what are the revenue numbers for sales tax? What is the percentage?
We're up 14.49% this month.
So, once again, 15% up, so that's always good, up is better than down. So, thought that would be significant to y'all. What else do y'all, Mulaney, do you have anything else you wanna add? We have a few minutes before the council meeting, Chief, do you have anything significant you wanna point out?
Just still working the, as you know, the death of the 2-year-old, the tragic death of the 2-year-old. Still waiting on some results to come in on that, and, that's pretty much it right now. So as soon as those results go in, and the DA's office is requested to review everything, so as far as if charges can be handed down, so.
Y'all noticed that Fire Chief Brian Williams looks different tonight?
He does.
Did y'all notice?
I think need a speech of some kind.
I asked him if he prepared a speech. Do you have any?
Y'all don't want that.
Do you have something you're gonna present at the meeting later?
Just a fire report.
Okay, good deal. All right, well, meeting adjourned.